We observed and we submit that the merger of the three funds will indeed provide what I would call best practice, which is a one-stop shop, and thereby we'll be eliminating duplications. We'll also be bringing in efficiency in the use of public resources, and at the same time we'll also be expanding the reach and the equity among the marginalized groups. And when you look at many jurisdictions, actually this is the way to go to make a country competitive in terms of how you avail resources. And so, in a way, I would say this is a government policy initiative where we are merging the funds, which policy was arrived at through a lot of and extensive public consultations before the Presidential Task Force report of 2013 made this recommendation of the merger. Cabinet Secretary in the National Treasury can actually approve, remove the D, there's a typo there, Kenya shilling 3.5 billion expenditure under Article 223. Once this then is, it goes through Cabinet and is regularized through a supplementary. And we have the supplementary one coming. So I want to persuade us that although initially the 2 billion was not provided for, we still have room within our budgeting process to accommodate 3.5 billion in the supplementary budget coming. Thresholds that we have proposed for youth, it is up to 40%, women up to 30%, people with disabilities up to 10%, micro, small and medium enterprises up to 17%, and then the admin costs up to 33%. Now, the Biashara Kenya Fund Transition Committee will seamlessly manage the transition in two main areas. One is the financial and non-financial assets, and two, which is really very critical, is the human resource management. And so in this case, the recommendation is that this committee should be put in place once the draft regulations have been published to ensure seamless transition of the three funds. Capitalization of the fund is indicated with a total capital of, I read the figure at the bottom, 14.9 billion, or rather 14,884,837,379, broken to the number one, the outstanding loans. If you aggregate the three institutions as of 30th of June, 10 billion. The bank balances available for those loans, 2.3 billion shillings. And then the intended capital injection as we are preparing this, not the 3.5 billion, but 2.5 billion, it gives us 14.9 billion. So that is the capital, and that was a question that was asked. In terms of the savings that we are likely to realize post-merger, we have indicated the comparisons that are there, the average means of various expenses and revenues without merger and with merger. And I want to lead us to the bottom. This thing doesn't. It doesn't maybe have light. So to the at the bottom, if you look at the second column from the right and go to the bottom, we have a potential saving which we call efficiency gains of 555,570,067 shillings. So that is a number that we can remember, that this is actually one of the things that we are saying. We want to be efficient, we want to be one-stop shop, and therefore realize savings that can help us in terms of the funding. And also for me from Treasury, any coin that we can save is very important. We are submitting the following legal instruments, which can be projected in the screen. And this is what the task force has worked on quite laboriously, and this is actually quite fulfilling. One, the revised PFM Biashara Kenya Fund Regulations 2020, which is now the real document that is going to drive this agenda. And then in addition, we have the revised PFM Women Enterprise Fund Revocation Regulations 2020 to revoke the current fund of Women Enterprise Fund. Then we also have the revised PFM Wezo Fund Revocation Regulations 2020 to revoke the WESO Fund, and then the revised PFM Youth Enterprise Development Fund Revocation Regulation 2020 to revoke the Youth Enterprise Development Fund, and then finally a revised Youth Enterprise Development Fund Revocation Executive Order, because the YEDF was established through also an executive order.